We need to talk about Luigi Mangione today for two reasons. The first is that Luigi Mangione has now been charged with first-degree murder in furtherance of terrorism. And the second is that a lot of the youth of America lusts for blood. Now, we'll start with the charge because the new charge doesn't replace his existing second-degree murder charge, but it just gives a potential jury another option and also highlights an interesting quirk of New York law. Because in most jurisdictions across the United States, a first-degree murder charge just requires premeditation. But in New York, it's actually a very narrow set of circumstances that qualify, with one such requirement being that the alleged crime is, quote, intended to intimidate or coerce the civilian population, influence the policies of a unit of government by intimidation or coercion, and affect the conduct of a unit of government by murder, assassination, or kidnapping. And you had Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg adding,
this was a killing that was intended to evoke terror. And we've seen that reaction. The statutory elements we can go into, but its most basic term, that's what this is. This was not an ordinary killing.
Also, in addition to these charges, there's been some updates about the investigation into Mangione. New York is still trying to extradite him from Pennsylvania, where he's been arrested on gun charges. And police now claim they have more evidence that may link Mangione to the crime, such as ballistic evidence from the firearm that he allegedly used. Possibly most damning, if true, is fingerprint evidence on a Kind bar wrapper and water bottle that he reportedly got at a Starbucks very close to the crime scene just before the attack. But with that said, it brings us to the second part of what I said we need to cover. Mangione is very popular with a number of Americans. He's reportedly received quite a bit of mail, as well as 153 deposits into his commissary, which allows him to buy some small amenities while behind bars. And when I say a number of Americans, we should talk about the numbers, because we got the news that Emerson College ran a poll about this whole situation. Well, they found that of the general population, just 17% said that the killing of the CEO is acceptable or somewhat acceptable. The big number that stood out is that 41% of young voters, those between 18 and 29, said Thompson's killing was acceptable or somewhat acceptable. But then, as you can see from the graphic, the support dropping there from age, though then kicking a little bit back up with older folks. With this, if you go on social media regarding the killing, you're still seeing a lot of different takes out there. With seemingly some in support of the alleged action saying things like, Bragg's quote about Luigi Mangione and the UHC shooting is crazy because he definitely didn't sow terror. The vibe was pretty good, actually. With others, and just joking about Mangione, saying things like Luigi Mangione indicted on terrorism for the irreparable damage he has done to male body standards. So of course, this also is you have plenty of people out there condemning Mangione's alleged actions, saying things like, let's be clear, Luigi Mangione is a terrorist. He is not an activist. He is not a victim. He is not a hero. The fact that he quotes the Lorax in his manifesto makes me sick. If you care a whole lot, you don't kill innocent people. But then also, kind of separate from those two different takes, you had people using this situation to highlight how differently things can be treated in America, with them arguing things like Luigi Mangione being charged with terror, but a school shooter isn't, is exactly what is wrong with this country. Slap on the hand for a child murderer, life in prison for the murder of one CEO. Though there, I will say that some school shooters have been charged with terror, but most aren't. Also, regarding how the government's treating this situation versus others, you have people pointing to reports that New York Governor Kathy Hochul's considering setting up a special hotline for CEOs to report alleged threats. With that reportedly coming after she met with 175 corporate reps, counterterrorism officials, and Homeland Security yesterday. And generally speaking there, the optics of such a hotline, it hasn't gone over the best online, with many who often feel that rich individuals get way better treatment by the government and judicial systems speaking out, with people saying things like, instead of pushing for the New York Health Act, which would provide single payer in New York State, Governor Kathy Hochul decided to provide wellness sessions to corrupt CEOs and provide them with a hotline so they feel safe. Democrats continue to show who matters to them, and it's not us. As well as democracy is when rich people get a special hotline for their own personal protection. But yeah, generally speaking, that's where we are with the Luigi Mangione situation, and I will ask here, specifically, I want to know your thoughts regarding the poll, right, and the differences regarding age groups and opinion. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this clip from the full Philip DeFranco show, and also a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring our Clips channel. Turn your passion into profit over at squarespace.com/Phil, or use the QR code. Because whether you're launching a business or a lucrative side hustle, your website is your digital business card. It's the only space where you control the story, no algorithms or distractions. And with Squarespace, it's so easy because they got a ton of stunning professional templates with drag and drop editing that makes site design incredibly simple, no coding required. So get started for free at squarespace.com/Phil, or scan the QR code on screen and use code Phil for 10% off when ready to launch. Squarespace.com/Phil.